and good morning, and welcome to Tantrum Gold, the home of your classic games, content, and everything else in between, debate, the lot. This morning, we're looking at plotting Tottenham's way to top four this weekend. Um, we're going to quickly look at the West Ham Chelsea game. Who do we want to win to, make our situation better, and then quickly go through the rest of the fixtures to see who we want to win to get us up the table till we play Norwich tomorrow. This morning, I'm joined as usual by my co-hosts Kova and Phil. Kova is the man who makes every flat cap look sexy, and if Carlsberg did Letizia, Phil would be the best in the world. Morning, Kova. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. I'm just thinking, what are you trying to say about Phil Letizia there?
Well, we all know we could be related to Letizia himself. So
no, it's the Carlsberg part I was thinking of.
Well, if Carlsberg did Phil, he'd be the best in the world.
No, doing really well here. Thanks, Dermot. Looking forward to this weekend's football, and obviously mighty Spurs coming up again. Yeah. Can't happen quick enough, can it?
No. And Phil, how are you, sir?
Yeah, all good.
Are you looking forward to today's fixtures and match tomorrow? Because you're going tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, going to the game tomorrow. So obviously high expectation there after a great performance last on Thursday. But yeah, just looking at the fixtures, there's, obviously as we're going to discuss now, there's a lot in there that we'd like to be able to pick the results that would benefit us. But I guess the most important thing today or this weekend is if we win, we're in control. We don't want to be looking at others' destinies or anything like that. So, but yeah, I'm just, it's football weekend, isn't it? Always time to be buzzing.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm just turning down my telly. I don't want the Formula One to interrupt our stream. Firstly, I want to welcome Wayne Bonner.
Afternoon, Wayne.
Afternoon, mate. Hope you're all right, sir. Right, guys. West Ham. Is it West Ham Chelsea?
Yeah. Shall I bring the fixtures up then?
Yeah, bring the fixtures up there, Phil. What? Okay, here we go.
There we go. So the first fixture, I think it's a 12:30 kickoff today. West Ham v Chelsea. So that's a big London derby, isn't it?
Yeah. It's difficult because we both really don't like sector clubs rarely. Out of that, which would be the better result for us? And I'll start with Kova.
Well, sensibly, we'd probably look at Chelsea to win it because we'd probably be aiming at the top four. But you could argue perhaps a draw, both teams dropping points is nice because you don't want Chelsea winning the league either. But then the gut feeling is always that it's the craziness stuff. It's the you want the pitch invasion, both teams fined and docked points and injury problems and sendings off and everything. Put the spanner in the works for the next few months for them would be ideal. But I mean, that's just silly talk that all fans do about the other teams, isn't it?
Yeah. Phil?
Yeah, I think absolutely the same. First point of call is no West Ham victory because that really benefits.
Just very quickly, Phil, what do you say to Wayne Bonner's thing here?
Oh, sorry, I can't see. You have to read it out. I can't see it.
Said, West Ham Chelsea could be a good game, a draw at the worst. Would you agree with that? Would the draw be a good result for us?
It wouldn't be the worst. I think Kuba covered it. What we don't want West Ham to win because we don't want them getting any momentum again, and it gives us the opportunity to go ahead. But the flip side of that is, likewise, we don't want Chelsea winning. I mean, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City, I think clearly are going to get the top three. So if it's a battle between those three, they're going to be the ones that we least want to win. So potentially a draw might be the best one, but next best then would be a Chelsea win. Anything but West Ham getting any points on the board because that's a tough fixture for both of them there.
I mean, I love Kuva's idea of pitch invasions and earthquakes and everything. I think that'd be ideal. Both teams getting relegated for some technicality, so that would be ideal.
Well, that's your ideal result, isn't it? That we get to Monday morning and the Premier League announced that both West Ham and Chelsea will be relegated at the end of the season. It's like, oh, thank you very much.
With the game this afternoon, and we're not playing till tomorrow. How important is it for us to get a result today? But for results to go our way today, for momentum at least, anyway, to keep the momentum going.
I
Because
think it's more
we
just
should, we should beat Norwich tomorrow. Rarely, we should do. Um, but what has to fall our way? I mean, both of you. I'll put it out to both of you. Go through the fixtures. I mean, one by one, and I want you to each of you to predict what you think the results will be and how you think that will impact us. I'll start with you first, Phil.
um, I I think whatever fixtures go up, whatever results go our way is a benefit to us, but at this stage is not necessity because we're only a couple of points behind them. We've got an easier fixture this weekend, and we've got the game in hand. So the momentum wise, it's back to it's being in our own hand, and you couldn't have asked for a better game this weekend than Norwich at home. We have to be looking at that and thinking absolutely 3 points there, a great performance, and then the momentum. Like I say, with the rest of them, it's kind of if they go our way, then great. But there's a mixture of fixtures in there. There's some people playing that we don't necessarily want, but yeah, that would be me.
Okay, Coover.
Well, I mean, looking down the list, it's always going to be that game at the top that's the most vital for us. I mean, Newcastle Burnley doesn't really affect us. I think I'd like Burnley to win it just because it'll be, it's quite funny with Newcastle with their billionaire owners. If they got relegated this season, it'd just be so ironic. But it really doesn't matter that much because they'll come up again anyway. Southampton, Brighton, no big deal to us, but that's quite a sort of that's potentially a fairly spicy sort of game. Brighton doing so well. Perhaps we could even argue we'd want Southampton to pick up points because Brighton have the potential to be a rival for us. They're certainly a good enough team for it, even if they go off a little bit off the boil in some of their more recent results. Wolves, Liverpool. Do we really see ourselves as title contenders? If so, we'd want Wolves to win that. But I mean, let's be realistic. We're a long way off, and we're still taking shape at the moment. So irrelevant again. Perhaps Liverpool better to win that because we don't want Chelsea winning the league. Watford, Man City, same sort of circumstances. Take the Man City win to stop Chelsea. Leeds, Brentford, no relevance to us either. Could be an interesting game. They both got a lot of potential with the way they play. There could be a few goals knocking around in that one. Man United, Palace, definitely want a Palace win there. Huge Palace win would be nice. Because Man United certainly are top four rivals.
Yeah.
Mighty Spurs against Norwich. Let's think. Who do we want to win that one?
Santa Claus.
Yeah, nice big win for us. Keep the momentum going for us. Because it's all about how we're doing now. Let's get it to the stage where it's other teams worried about what we're doing, not the other way around.
Well, that's something I want to pop onto later about Tottenham, and I'd love your thoughts because I've got a few questions for you each on that game tomorrow.
Yeah, and we finish. We'll just finish off then. Villa, Leicester.
Yeah.
Leicester's potentially, if they get on a run again, we know they're a good side. They could be top four rivals as well. And you never know with Villa; they seem to be on a bit of a roll since Steven Gerrard took over, so they could be climbing the table.
Yeah, I've been quite impressed with Villa actually. Gerrard seems to be a very good manager. I mean, he's done well at that team up in Scotland. Sorry, the blue side of Glasgow. Who shall not be mentioned. He's done quite well up there. So, we need the results to go our way this weekend, really. And we drew a bit of good luck, so hopefully, fingers crossed now they will. Wayne Bonner says, I don't want West Ham winning. Hell no. But for personal reasons this year, I wouldn't mind a Chelsea win. I think that sort of goes along the board, doesn't it? Would you two agree with that, Phil?
Yeah, I would never be, looking at Chelsea thinking, yes, come on, let's have them win. It just never feels right.
No.
They're a big rival to us, and ultimately their success is born out of new money, isn't it? There's there's not a great tradition at the club. There's not a great history, not like ours, and it all feels just a little bit false. New manager comes in, here's God knows how much money to spend. It just never feels right. Doesn't feel proper.
Coover, what do you say to Ray Bonner's tweet there?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing, isn't it? I mean, if you got personal reasons for what somebody winning, then that's something else. I mean, you can't argue with it. It's just people's opinion, isn't it? But again, don't want West Ham winning. Definitely, I think that's Phil said it earlier. That's the key component. We don't want them taking all 3 points no matter what.
That is true. Phil, first to you, Ray Bonner's question: do you think Conte will make any or many changes this weekend? I'll ask you first.
Yeah, I think there'll be a couple in there. Obviously, you can see week by week the fitness in that squad growing, but we've got another big game on Thursday, and I guess the difference this time with Thursday is it's an absolute must-win. The difference potentially with Thursday could be the fact that Rennes are already through, so may do a sort of reserve squad. But I'm honestly, I would hope to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Sessegnon tomorrow in the same sort of structured lineup where he's got the decent people around him. And do you know what? Possibly Bergwijn maybe coming in for Mora, and then I think the other changes. I think either Winks. I think Winks will come in for either Skippy or Højbjerg. I think that would be my 3 predictions.
Did you just say the W word?
Yeah, because I think Højbjerg and Skip need a rest, and tomorrow's a good day to be able to do that rest.
Did you not watch David's show last night? How crappy he is.
Yeah, but we would have said the same 4 weeks ago about Ben Davies, and look at him now. Most of us would all put him in. So you got to look at the people, the players, and most importantly the opposition. So if you're going to rest someone, I'd rather they rested him against Norwich than against Rennes, Brighton, Liverpool, Leicester. That for me is critical. But like I say, I've only got my opinion. I'm not Mr. Conte.
Just to add to that, would you put? I mean, you say put Winks in. Would you put one of the youngsters into that? Give them a run. If you were going to spin it on its head.
Possibly I would, but I wouldn't start them now. I'd wait until we know the victory is secure. So, maybe if we're 2-0 up, then that's the time to take off and swap around. I think Conte's more about securing result and caution than sort of, giving these, youngsters an opportunity. I think there's a time and a place for that. And in a busy December and again, what we've got to look at most important, we talked about it with the West Ham game, is this momentum is in our hands now. We win tomorrow, we win against the game in hand against Burnley. We are in 4th place with this appalling team that we started the season with. To be able to turn that round by December, none of us saw that coming in October.
No. Wayne Bonner here, and also Ellie's put a couple of comments in as well. If you can get them up for us, Coover, because my laptop seems to be doing things. And
I was just putting Wayne's on first because it was relevant to what we were just talking about.
What do you say to that then, Phil? To Wayne's comments there, do you agree with them?
Well, it's similar to what I said. So I believe Winks will come in tomorrow. I think Cess will play in one of them. So he's either going to play against Norwich or Rennes. I would, if I'm honest, I think I would prefer to see him in a more settled team against Norwich tomorrow, where he can blossom, and then you've got that extra bit of stability when if you drop Reguilon back into the Rennes game.
Yeah,
Doherty. Honestly, I would like to think no, but I genuinely don't know. The guy's awful. If we were picking fantasy players or picking our favourite players, he would be right down the bottom there. We'd be one of the last. We'd be stood there with Winks, Ali, and Doherty, and the 3 of us going. We got 1 pick each, and all of us are going. He's probably probably a fairly decent Championship player. Might even be a lower end of the Premier League, but he's not a top Premier League club. That was a big mistake there. And Nuno must have wet himself when we came in with 12 million for him.
Big up, Ellie. Thank you. Great answers, Phil. Thank you very much for that, and thank you, Wayne Bonner, for the question. We have royalty in the chat down the bottom there. Can you get them up there for us, Phil? There for us, Coover. Right at the bottom there. Mr. David Harris is in the chat. Good morning, sir. Also, from us all here, we'd like to wish Miss Irish Hotspur, Dave's sister, a very, very happy birthday. I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And big up, Dave. I hope you're all right, mate. And look forward to it. Please, everyone, get over to the Irish Hotspur. Let's get them to 5,000. Everyone, get over there. He's the mothership of this channel. So, a huge respect to him and Jack. Absolutely fantastic show last night about Winks, the downfall of Winks. And maybe Winks might go back to La La Land now with Dinky Winky and La La and Diddly Diddly and Poe, whoever the Teletubbies are, back there with them. So thank you, Dave. There was a question there Wayne Bonner wanted to put in. I wanted to put it to you, actually, Hoover, if you can get up for us. Do you think he'll start with Kane on Thursday?
Yes, I think so. As far as I'm concerned, we simply can't replace him with anybody at the moment. Nobody quite fits that role he does. He's a very, very difficult man to replace. As we were talking about it before, I mean, the only sort of players that come to mind do that kind of role are Firmino, Cavani. We're talking about players we couldn't get hold of anyway. So, yeah, what do you do? I mean, you can't really treat Premier League games like lesser teams and, hope to put in some youngsters and hope for the best. We really need the strong teams out because those league games are important. Well, we can't rely on League Cup or any other competition to get us some European football for next season. Yeah. We've got to make sure we cement at least top 6, but let's face it, we want that top 4. We could get it. So yeah, Kane's got to start on Thursday, unfortunately, in some ways because we need him. But I do think we might see. That's where I think we're going to see the likes of Sessegnon and perhaps Doherty given a chance. Unfortunately for us, I think that it's the ones in the key positions that need the rest the most, and they're the ones we struggle to replace. It's how can you replace Højbjerg and Skippy? I mean, who comes in for them? We're talking Harry Winks again. He's not exactly going to inspire you with confidence, is he? So,
I mean, did you see that picture the other day that went round with Dyer giving out to Winks? And Davis just standing there with his hands behind his back. You know, there was a picture going around on Twitter, and Dyer was absolutely laying into him because, again, he'd been, as Dave would say, he's been passing mid fresh air. What do we do? Do we bring in the youngsters? You can't trust these players. So what? I know we've got to wait till January, but what do you do? Do you try the youngsters who's going to give you passion, and maybe they haven't got experience, but for sure hell they're going to give you passion, and they're going to go through brick walls for you. So what do you do, Coven? What do you do?
Well, let's see. I mean, Ellie here saying Winky's been more positive with his passing and actually passing forward, which is great, guys. And Conte might even make a player of him. Project Winky is on. And then a bit of an LOL afterwards, but no, there's something to be something to be said for that, because after all, if Conte is seeing something in this player, then if anybody's going to drag something from the old Winks out of him, then it's surely going to be Conte. It's finding the right games for him now, because they're all crucial now, aren't they? It's not like we've got an easy run on a buffer of points to play with. It's here again. I get Wayne Bonner, to likes of Alfie Devine and White on Thursday.
I would.
But you know what? Bearing in mind now how important Thursday is, we need to make sure that we don't win by less than 2 goals over Vitesse, or we're out. So I don't think the stakes are too high. The hope for us is that Rennes play a second string because they're through, they're top of the group. But where I would like to see your likes of Divine and White and those sort of players is, is to go out, do 2 or 3-0 very early on, and then in the second half be able to sort of bed them in for I don't want to say a run around because that's disrespectful, but to just start bedding them in for the team. But unfortunately, our squad and our team cannot fit the likes of those guys in yet.
But Phil, we haven't got a B team. The B team is fucking useless. They're as useless as Ray Charles going playing basketball for the great USA team in 1984. You mean you can trust Winks, you can trust Dirty, you can trust Sanchez. Sanchez did sort of had an okay game against Brentford, but he wasn't fantastic.
Right, and that's why obviously that strength in depth is so important to us, because Kuva said it earlier. With realistically, what we should be looking at is on Thursday being able to rest Højbjerg, Skip, Kane, Son. We haven't got a cat and hell's chance of being able to release them.
But you can't bring anyone in to replace them anyway. So what does Conte do? Does he bring in the likes of Winks, Doherty, and all them, or does he try the kids because he knows them players will run through a brick wall for him? Winks wouldn't. Deli wouldn't. Deli's more important than Deli wants to go on TikTok. What colour shall I colour my hair today? Probably pink will be the next thing he comes out with, like Peppa Pig. I mean, what more is January this important to us? So important to us to get the right players in so we can rest the players like Højbjerg, Skip, and Red Kane.
Without a doubt.
Would you give Scarlett a good run in the side as a number 9, or do you? What the reports are going around that Conte's going to make Birdwing a number 9? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Kuva? And then I go to you. I thought you, Phil. What's your thoughts on that first?
First of all, I'm hoping that this is a bit of psychological warfare from Conte when he's starting to say things like Bergwijn is a number 9. Bergwijn's not a number 9, and he's not going to do a role there. But if that's the best that we've got, then maybe. For me, at the moment, I would love to see Scarlett in there, but I think he's too young. I don't think he's strong enough, and he will suffocate in the Premier League at this stage. I don't think he's not. It's not that he's not good enough. He's not ready. He's clearly not ready. I think
when's he ever going to be ready, though? You can't leave him on the sideline. He has to get experience. You get experience by playing. We need a backup striker, and he's a decent young striker. Jose Mourinho backed him up big time. So what do you do? Do you chance him? You can't give young players a chance.
For me, I would have sent him out on loan and give him a year in the Championship to bulk up, because some of those. So let's face it, that's a tough league to go in. And while he's 17, 18 and his body's still under development, you could give him all the help he needs. But the Premier League for me, I just think it's that little stage too far. I would definitely have him out on loan, Championship club, where he's almost pretty much guaranteed to play every week. So whether he goes to an Ipswich or a Stoke or something like that, where he can get the game time, he can bulk out, and he can get used to playing week in, week out. Because at the moment, it's fits and starts in the first squad.
Ali says, "Big up, Dermot, Phil, and Coover. You're all in point and love your banter." Yeah, I love talking Tottenham with these two guys. The great crack. I mean, the crack we have before we go online is something else, which will remain something with that will remain.
Just on that one, Dermot. Obviously, you've asked both of us. What's your view on Dane Scarlett? So, what would you do?
I will play him. You look through the years, we've always brought youngsters into the team. You look at Nicky Barmby, 92-93 season, friend of us played him. You look at Steve Perriman, our greatest captain, one of our greatest captain behind Danny Blanchard. Bill Nick played him early as a youngster. You look at Glenn Hoddle, came in started as a 16 or 17-year-old. Then, you've got to try these players. We've got a good youth system. We've got a good, young side. We need to bring them in because then players will go through brick walls for you. You can't depend on the likes of Delhi, Winks, and the rest of the diddly squat Teletubbies because they don't care. The young players do. And if we don't start bringing them in and bleeding them into the thing, Conte will have a brilliant side there next season. So we need to start bringing them in. I think Scarlett should be kept there as an understudy to Harry Kane. Train with Kane every day. Learn off the best. Learn off Harry. I think Devine and White should be given a chance in the team. Do you know what I mean? You need to put players in there that will go through brick walls, not just there and stand around and hit fresh air and don't care. Oh, we're picking up 200 grand a week. I'm not bothered. You want players in there that do care. And that's my opinion. I would play kids. Man United did it. When was it? 95 or 96, guys? When Alex Ferguson played the kids and Alan Hansen said on Match of the Day, you'll never win anything with kids. Look what Man United did. Why can we not do the same?
Well,
I was going to say the challenge to that would be how many other teams have put a bunch of kids, and the difference with that Man United side, not that I know their history, but they grew up together, they played together for years, so they all moved at the same pace. But
so have our youngsters. We've got to give them a chance. What if you don't give them a chance now? When do you give them a chance? What's your response to that, Kuba? I was actually going to come to you. What do you say on that?
Well, firstly, I'd say I do love it when you start getting fired up. That you're building up to one today, mate. Yeah, there's valid points to be you making there, but I'm a little bit more reserved with it. Like I know Phil is. There's times to do it and times you can't, and since it's so crucial for us, it's very difficult to throw in an inexperienced youngster and expect them to meet your needs for each game. It's a big difference if you can get a stable team that's used to getting the results week in, week out, and then you can introduce them slowly, give them a bit of substitute appearances, some Premier League experience. But one bit you did say I totally agree with. It is really beneficial for them being in training with the likes of Harry Kane. Scarlett will learn so much off that. However, as Phil said, if he went out on loan, he toughens up. He gets used to playing week in, week out in a competitive, perhaps even a relegation battle helps you when you're developing because you know what it's like. You know
that's what Harry Kane did, wasn't it?
Skip did that.
I think Dermot's just frozen for a minute, but
because he did Millwall and Leicester and Norwich. Because I remember watching a game with him at Norwich, and I remember speaking with my brother and saying, "Have you seen that Harry Kane?" And he was like, "Oh my god, if Norwich gave us £1 million now, I'd bite your hand off." Well, how times have changed now. It's like the difference. But he did that. He went out. He got his experience. He sat on the bench. He played games, and he played regularly, which was, for him was the most important. And then we reap the benefits of that. And for me, that again, it's only my opinion. I get both sides. It's like you either train with Harry Kane or you play potentially championship games every week. But the training with Harry Kane will come when he comes back if he goes for a shorter period. So it's a tough one. But fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way, we're not making those decisions. We just got the opinions on them. And, you would hope that Conte will do the absolute very best for Tottenham, which I think he will.
Oh, morning, Guguma. Thank you very much for visiting us again. Always lovely to see your name. Guguma saying, I'd love seeing the youngsters given a chance. I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about at the moment, isn't it? I think we all agree. We'd love to see some of our homegrown players come through the ranks and into the first team. It's a question of when you do it. Dermot was talking about Sir Alex Ferguson bringing through the youngsters at Manchester United, but I know I'm bringing up the Alan Hansen quote about you don't win anything with kids, but that is a bit different because that was a truly exceptional bunch of youngsters. I mean, we've got some really good, talented kids coming through, but when you're looking at Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs and David Beckham sort of quality,
plus it was the other one was Nicky Butt and the two Nevilles, and you're thinking, even when they burst on the scene within a couple of years, they were still sought after, and Ryan Giggs beat them all to it. He started at 17, but he was a phenomenon. But he didn't play up front, and you need a little bit of that strength to be able to hold the ball. And unfortunately, when in the game, I can't remember who it was the Europa League or the Conference League, Scarlett started and he lost. He just looked a little bit lost. But for me, he didn't have the right people around him. He was up front with Dele Alli and somebody else, and it was like we didn't set him up to succeed. We kind of put him in with all the B team, and we know our B team is probably a QRS team, and they're way down.
Yeah, there's one thing I think Dermot was saying that's a little bit unfair, and it was saying that Harry Winks doesn't care. I don't think that's true. I think he does care. He's just and I think he is trying. He's just so shockingly off form and low on confidence that he's a shadow of his old self. But I know what Dermot's getting at overall. You want these players that will run through the brick walls, the players that are playing for the shirt and they're playing for the fans. We don't see it with a lot of them. I mean, for me and Don Bele, you get so little from him out of considering how much money he's earning. You compare him with someone like Skippy, who's coming in, playing his heart out each week. Even when Skip has a bit of a dip every now and then, which he will do because he's a young lad playing a very, very responsible position. He's been doing fantastically for us. So even when he has a dip, you think, yeah, that's okay. He'll get back on the horse and perform well, which he has done each time. He bounces back himself, let alone the team on a whole. I
apologise about this. We've just had a power cut, so I've had to quickly get my phone and log on to my phone. So I am back. So I apologise about that. Bloody power cuts. You would think during
Good afternoon, Derek. Nice to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good afternoon, Derek. Thank you.
Yeah, the rest of the family's on the treadmill for you now, Dermot. Are they keeping the power going?
I don't know. I'm plunged into the dark ages here. Like I've gone back to the 1920s. Mind you, I might go out and see the 21 Cup final again. Don't know. I might do that. See, can we do spot the ball competition? Right. I was just talking to you. Next thing, got plunged into darkness. So, what? Go on, Phil. Just you two carry on. And I tried to.
No, we literally just discussed the sort of the youth, and I guess our summary is: in your ideal world, we wouldn't need to sign anyone in January because you'd be able to bring the 7 or 8 people through from the youth, and we'd go and win the league. But there's a big difference now between when they're ready. They're obviously smashing it out the park in the under 23s, but there's such an immense step up. It goes almost under 23s, Division 1, Championship. Then when you do the Championship, you go to the bottom of the Premier League, then the middle of the Premier League. And we're you'd like to say that we're a top Premier League club, and that golf at the moment is just, it's huge. But you're right. They're only going to get there by playing football. Training with Harry Kane and Son every day, every week is going to help them so far. But there's a part where they've got to go out and they've got to do it in matches. And what I would say is the future looks bright. It's just going to take a little bit of managing, I think, this situation, because we have got some quality players in there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, Alfie Devine especially is one that looks really exciting to me. But how old's he now? He's barely out of school, is he?
Yeah. I mean, it's that time is on their side. That's what I would say. Dane Scarlett, he literally is 7. He might be 18, but he's 17. And I know the exceptions to the rule are people like your Wayne Rooney's that burst on the scene at 16, but he he was a boy in a man's body, even at that age, wasn't he? He could still hold it up. The physical difference between Rooney at 16 and unfortunately Scarlett now was monumental. But maybe he was just one in a generation player. But power cuts kicked in again, and
excuse me, I was just having a sneeze as well. Perhaps my sneeze took Dermot offline.
He wiped him out.
Yeah, I mean, as we were saying, it's a case of timing it correctly. I think if we were mid-table, it was coming towards the end of the season, no danger of relegation, and we know we can't get in the top places to get Europe. That would be a perfect time to bring players in, youngsters in, give them a taste of the Premiership with no pressure on them. Right at the moment, you imagine putting some of those youngsters into an away trip in Europe, and supposing the team fails, and you know how desperate we all are as fans to succeed, and when the fans start getting on the team's back for a poor performance, you don't really want to expose your youngsters to that, do you? It's
and that's, do you know what? That's another big difference now, isn't it? We saw recently Højbjerg had come off Twitter, and we're only presuming, but it's whether he had a little bit of abuse or something like that. Is what you don't want is these 16, 17, 18-year-olds that have maybe played one game for Tottenham, maybe had a mistake, conceded a goal, getting absolutely ridiculed on social media. The club have got to be mindful of their mental health and their well-being. And is it harder today? I don't know, but there's certainly more access for the likes of some comments and abuse and stuff like that. And what you don't want is these people that would do their very level best for the club they adore is being put in a situation that they can't control. And unfortunately, with social media, you can't really control everything that goes on. So it's just, you've got to be mindful. Really, I've got to be mindful.
Yeah, of course. I mean, after a bad result, I mean, the players are starting to work on what went wrong immediately behind the scenes. They're in training, working their socks off. But fans don't see that. They just remember the last result, and it's festering with the fans. So they're just giving out their opinions all week, and the players can't show them that they're doing something about it until that next match comes up. So yeah, it's difficult. There's pros and cons with this social media lark, isn't there?
Yeah.
Entirely different ball game to what it used to be. But onward really. Let's see. Should we have a look at some of the comments? There's one from Wayne Bonner, I think. Going back a little bit now. There we go. He was saying about playing Bergwijn behind Kane and Son. What do you think of that?
Again, for me, I'd give it a go. I think one of those front three need to be rested. So whether it's unfortunately, I think Kane will start tomorrow, but I think either Son or Mora possibly would come out, and Bergwijn should be a great replacement. I mean, he's got all the attributes that you would want. He's got a shot on him. He's got some pace. He's got some skill. So it's like, go and do it. Let's see why we bought you before we make a decision in January that we may regret. But yeah, I actually would like to see Bergwijn and Kane as the two up front. Maybe rest Son a little bit for Thursday, and it's whether or not you stick with Mora. But I would hope tomorrow Bergwijn's going to get a little run just to see what he can do, because with the amount of games we've got coming up, I'm sure Conte can see a lot in training, but you probably would see a lot more on match day and during a game. And he obviously trusted him the other night. He came on for the last, whatever it was, 5-6 minutes. So he's obviously in his thoughts. But whether that's in his thoughts for this is your last chance to prove before I bin you off in January, or what that is, that's the bit that we don't know. I'm sure the club are fully aware of exactly what's going on. But yeah, fair point, man.
I'm going to leave it to you two guys because the data on my phone isn't strong for me to actually come on. It keeps knocking me off. We've got a big power cut here to about 4 o'clock. There's some lines been damaged near me. So I'm going to leave it in the capable hands of my two co-hosts, Kuva and Phil. I think they were going on for a little while. I will be watching. I will be in the comments. So I'll be doing that. But
Yeah, it's just because my data isn't strong enough, and it's just going to be in and out, in and out. So that's not fair on you two. You two are doing a great job so far. So I'll see you later, lads. I'm gonna go and kick the ESB man up and down the road at the moment. So if you hear any shouting coming from Wexford, you know it's me. I'm just shouting at the ESB man. So.
All right,
no problem, Tom. We got it. There's plenty of people on in the chat, so keep the content rolling on, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, Kuva, I'm going to bring up a comment from my man Derek. Again, a great comment there, but interested on your thoughts. So Perryman and Hoddle were very young when they came through, and it goes without saying, look what they did for our club. But on the youth side,
yeah, it's a bit, well. There's some things you point out about Perryman and Hoddle is Perryman an exceptional he had the exceptional mentality. There was leadership qualities immediately with him, and he's coming into a very good Spurs side in the 60s. It's again that's finding the right time for a youngster to come through. And look what he achieved after that. Brilliant. So yeah, it can be done. Hoddle, again, he actually came through when we weren't so good. But despite the relegation side, and then he came back up with that side, and the momentum went with Hoddle in the side. And that's that one thing he's got that very few players do have, and that is genius. Yeah. And you can't ignore genius. It doesn't matter what position you're in, that they will find their way into the team. If you're good enough, you're old enough in that respect. With what we've got at the moment, you don't know how far some of the players can go, so you've got to manage them a bit carefully. But like we said with Man United, when you see someone like Ryan Giggs coming in, it's there. You can't ignore it. CR7, even as a teenager, you could see he was going to be brilliant. Some players just force their way in at really early age. Others, you need to manage it a little bit more carefully. But good comment, certainly.
Yeah, so if we take your comment with Steve Perryman, I off the top of my head, I can't remember how old he was when he started, but let's say he was 17, 18. Would a 17, 18-year-old Steve Perryman under Antonio Conte, would we be considering him starting with the players he's got ahead of him, with the difference in the physicality, or would class just have shone through and you would have gone, yes?
That's actually quite a good question. We don't know, do we? No. I think Conte would be very quick to identify those sort of leadership qualities. Perhaps he sees it in Skip as well. Perhaps Skip could develop to be our Stevie Perryman for this generation. I mean, the certainly the determination's there, and he's getting better all the time. Yeah, it's an interesting debate, that one. I mean, times are different. You could say Stevie Perryman came through in a time where there was a lot more hatchet men about as well, so he could handle the tougher aspects of the game. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I'm just getting carried away now, thinking Skippy could turn into our next Stevie Perryman. How fantastic would that be?
Conte talked about it, didn't he, at the on his latest press conference? I watched it this morning, and he was basically saying, and he said the words something like, I can make Oliver Skip a better player. There's some things that I need to work on, but I will make him a better player. And most of us Tottenham fans are there going, well, he's pretty much the finished article because of our, delusional sort of thoughts. But what I'm getting at is, at the moment, he's a very good player. But if you got Antonio Conte saying I can make him better, that's monumental for Tottenham Hotspur, isn't it? And for Skip, because I can't imagine him being dropped and then throwing his toys out of the pram. If he gets dropped, I can imagine him going, I must have done something wrong. I must try harder. And he will go and do that, which is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was going to have a quick look to see when Stevie Perryman, how old he was on his debut. I know he's certainly a teenager anyway.
Yeah,
he's surrounded by great players. That's always the key, isn't it? It's coming through when you've got players to help you develop.
Which is why, obviously, when I was saying about sort of Sessegnon tomorrow, for me, Sessegnon's got some potential, but when you look at when he played against Mora, the back 4 or 5, you were looking at them all going, really? Whereas if you brought him in tomorrow with your Emerson on the other side, your Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis, so you're your set back 5, and the only new position is your left back, it gives him that little bit more stability, that opportunity to sort of bomb forward and bed in rather than changing everyone. And I think that's what you were saying with Perryman. When they brought Perryman in, they didn't bring in 11 new players. He had a structured, awesome side around him, and it was just the one player to come in. It's like the new position is at right back or wherever it was, and he got that time to bed in, knowing that he's got such stability and great players around him would have helped him, I think. But
yeah, it's true enough. Different circumstances, so we'll have to wait and see. Where is it? I was spotted a good comment a minute ago. I think it might have been from Ellie, talking about. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's from Gagoom. I'm sure Conte has already picked out some of the youngsters who he sees have potential. In the YouTube videos, his coaches look like they see everything.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? The first thing I would say with that is he is so well organised and structured in his training. I don't think he feels like the headmaster. That you go, well, the headmaster, he doesn't teach me, so he doesn't know what's going on. But actually, the headmaster sees everything, and that's where he is. I would suggest, my feeling is that he knows his teams for the next handful of games, and he's working with his fitness coaches to be doing all of that, and then he can start putting these people in the right place at the right time. So it's, yeah. The youngsters is always going to be a big bone of contention for us because we all want to see them come in. But if they all come in and then they don't perform when we lose games, the first thing will all be is, oh, you should have picked that. You should have gone such and such. So it's a monumental balancing act. But the most important thing for the youngsters is let Antonio Conte train them, make them better people, and be pushing for that first squad because, as we've already alluded to, we know full well that their passion and commitment will be there far greater than the majority of our second string.
Yeah, absolutely. Kakuma was also saying Conte gave Bergwijn some time at the end of the last game, so maybe it could happen. It goes back to the comment earlier about who made it about could Bergwijn play behind
Kane and
Sonny. I didn't answer that at the time, but I was meant to get around to it. For me, that's not going to be a position for him because I always see Bergwijn as somebody who needs to stretch the opposition's defence. He's got that raw pace. He's not. We haven't seen it enough from him. That's the trouble. But he does tend to sort of favour that 3-4-3 setup.
Would you see him more as if you were going to play him tomorrow? Would you almost see him as a replacement for Emerson rather than sort of Son or Kane? Is he the right wing back or is he not defensively solid enough?
I'll tell you what, if Lucas Moura's playing, you probably could risk Bergwijn as a wing back because Lucas Moura does so much work defensively, so much covering back. If you're going to do it, that's your man's partner on that flank. It's possible, but then if Conte's come out and said he sees Bergwijn as a competition for Harry Kane and the centre forward position, that's something else. That would suggest that he's looking to either push Harry Kane further forward, or he's looking to play occasional games or give Harry Kane a rest entirely and just go with that 3-pronged attack, all of them very pacey players, which can work. We've seen it before. Sonny's taken over from Kane, and we've done all right with him. In fact, there's some evidence to suggest we've done better with Sonny playing instead of Kane. But
that first game against the Man City, wasn't it? We were, really stretched, which always led me to think, I wonder if you should play those three up front and then have Kane as the number 10 behind those, so that they're all interchangeable, but that electric pace of the front line, big dilemma there.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, end of the day, Conte's going to know it better than we will. That's for sure. I think the overwhelming sort of feeling though is among the fans now is we just trust Conte to do what he's going to do. And with the likes of Harry Winks, no matter what we think of him, if Conte sees something, he will bring it out of him. He could surprise us, but it's just hard to see at the moment, isn't it?
Just my last question before we finish off is, how much do you think the English contingent of Harry Winks keeps him at the club? If he was if he is exactly the same player, but he was from Ghana or America and hadn't grown up in the football as the homegrown talent, do you think the club would still be looking at him with a player of that level of performance, or do you think differently?
Well, from my understanding of the homegrown contingency, it's more a case of looking at the overall cap on the amount of foreign players you can have. So you could just have 17 foreign players playing for your team and have no homegrown players. You could have the rest just academy players. So in that respect, it doesn't really matter. It's just a case of if you do want that experienced full squad of 25, then at least 8 of them does have to be homegrown in that situation. So right at the moment, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's if we're looking to bring in some more foreign players, then you've got to start looking at shifting some of the other foreign players out. I think we're getting quite close to being full on our quota.
Yeah, we're very close then, and
we are full. I just put it there. We are full. Yes, I am back. I've just get the ESB man in where it hurts, and he's given me a little bit of power. So there's.
But you've got slightly different rules, haven't you, for Premier League than you have for Europa? Because I think in Europa, Eric Dyer doesn't class, does he? Because he did his years at Benfica. So, but
and Ben Davis as well.
Yeah.
Just to let the chat know, my power's back. Way! I'm now back in the land of the living, not the land of 1921, which was great crack, by the way. I met the king. I saw you there too, Philip. Saw you there running onto the pitch and looking for your autograph of Jimmy Dimmick. And Kubu was there as the manager with his flat cap and lifting the cup. So we're back. I apologise for me popping in and out. I do apologise, but I tell you one thing. These two guys next to me are legends. They're absolute legends. They're out of my own family, apart from David, these two I respect the most because they're absolute brilliant men. I couldn't pick a better two people to do a channel with. I mean, Kuva, you are one of the nicest, kindest people I know. And Phil, you are the same, one of the kindest people that I know, honestly, God. And I know if anything happens here, you two take the show on the road. I mean, the wheels didn't fall off, and it's like we're on our way to Wembley, and I would trust you two to drive us there. That's how I feel. Very quickly,
Wembley.
Yeah, if it was Harry Kane, it would be ankles would have gone all trembly. If you don't mind, if we keep going for another, are you two all right for another 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Because in between of me going back to the Dark Ages, I come up with a few more questions actually about Conte and everything else that's around Tottenham for tomorrow. I'll start with you, Phil. What do you want to see from tomorrow? What do you want to see from the likes of Winks and Dele and that? Can they be saved, or do you think it's time to move them on? And second part to that question, if we do sell them on, where do you think they would go? Where do you think Dele and Winks would fit in?
Okay.
I've got 4 more plays for you, Kuva, not the same plays. I've got different plays for you.
Right, what do I want to see tomorrow? Not Dele Alli. Literally not Dele Alli. For me, he's done. What was a great servant, dropped off, not worth it anymore. What would I like to see tomorrow? I'd like to see another upbeat high energy performance like we had against Brentford. I think with the couple of changes that I had, I would like to see Sessegnon for Reguilon, just for that little bit of a break. I'd like to see, it kills me to say it, but somebody like a Winks instead of possibly Højbjerg, just to give him a bit of a break, and probably Bergwijn instead of Son, so that we still keep that high octane, high energy. With regards to Dele Alli and Harry Winks, where do I see them going? Newcastle, but that will depend on their their status for next season. But I don't think either of them will make a club higher than about 7th or 8th in the Premier League. So I think you're looking at a Wolves, possibly a Palace, maybe Aston Villa might be a good move for them both, because they're not afraid to spend a bit of money. They've also got a new coach in Steven Gerrard, who's got his own philosophy, but was a great player. They could well develop there. Maybe if we could swap Winks for their keeper, maybe as a good backup to Hugo, that would be a sensational deal for us.
Kuva, you're now Paratici. You're the Don. You're the man that makes things happen at Tottenham. You've winked into Levy. You've got him over the table. You've said, right, if you don't give me my money, I'm going to bring in the hitman. Right? He's giving you 200 million euro to spend. I mean, 200 million to Levy giving money out. It's like, no, that won't happen. But just for hypothetically, he's giving you 200 million. Who do you buy? And who do you sell? And who do you buy?
In this
your Paratici's, in this transfer in January, your Paratici, 1st of January, Conte's knocked on your door. Right, Mr. Paratici, who are we going for? What do you say to Mr. Conte?
Well, what do I say to Mr. Conte or to Mr. Levy?
Well, I'd love to know what you would have said to Levy to get the money first. Let's have a bit of a laugh at that.
To Levy, I would be saying, look, we've identified these players within our squad that do not add to the overall atmosphere within the club. We're trying to build a squad full of winners and winning mentalities. And we have some players that are holding us back from that. I mean, they're going to know who they are by now. He's been here long enough. A week's a long time in football. When they're training day in, day out, Conte will know who he doesn't want at the club. That's like many of us have been saying, getting rid of the deadwood. It's not even a case of deadwood in some cases. It's a case of something that's actually harmful to the club. I mean, we have to guess at it, but I think all of us are saying that about Dele Alli. Doesn't seem right, does he? It seems to be. It seems the fans are picking up on it. You must think surely other players are thinking the same thing. That the kid's always on the sort of social media, and it's all about the games, and his personal life seems to matter more. That's what I'll be saying to Levy. We need to get rid of these players, and we've got to replace them. We can't just replace them with rubbish. It's got to be players that fit this profile that we need. Yeah. Not a bargain bucket player, not even a sort of fancy sort of name that's grabbed some headlines. It has to be well researched, well thought out. You look at the temperament of the player. You look at if they've been a troublemaker in the past, if they're awkward with other players or management. We don't need any of that. We need players who are focused on working hard. Well, working hard, that is the first thing Conte will want in any player. If we get that with every member in the squad, he can develop an average player into a better player. We'll be steaming up the table on the right track the whole way. As for players coming in, that's so difficult in January. We just don't know. I mean, we're talking some big names. When Vlahovic always comes up, he'd be a great signing. I think he really would. But it's not a Harry Kane replacement. It's a different sort of player. Yeah. It's very much the danger man in the box. And if we got him and didn't get anybody else, we'd still be struggling with goals because it's getting the ball in there that's the key bit. Yeah. So we're looking at creative players. and we're looking at sort of all rounders for that midfield with energy, creativity, good passing game, helping out the wing backs, covering the positions there. I mean, the name I'd absolutely love, but we'd never get him. Will be Barella.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah, that's that box to box.
Umbrella.
And then Brozovic behind him, but
Yeah.
as the sort of midfield general, the sort of Pirlo sort of role that he can ping the passes out at any range accurately, can play under pressure. He's also a good tackler. He's got a great defensive mindset when not in possession. He'd help everybody out around him, central defenders, wing back areas. It push up the field. He's capable of getting goals, creating goals. He's got everything we need. So yeah, I mean, those for me are the most crucial areas, even more crucial than finding a backup to Harry Kane for me, because until those areas are filled, whoever goes up front is going to be struggling still.
Yeah. Another question I want to ask you too, and it's actually related to the past. With Conte and Paratici and all them, do they have to bring something from our past into this current squad, like the DNA of the times of Birkinshaw, how we played then? Um, do you think they have to look at the past to bring our DNA forward? So we get that DNA, we get that football that we all love watching Tottenham play. Phil?
For me, honestly, no. Just on that, Chelsea are 1 up, so West Ham is currently losing, which is lovely. With regards to that, no, I'm going to say yes and no. I think it's one of those. Ideally, you would say yes, but I don't think it's important now. I think now it's more important to be winning, and if Conte does that in the Conte way, and we get a trophy or we win the league or anything, that's far more important than potentially returning to the DNA. And I guess the big thing with that is the challenge is, what is the DNA? Because since Enoch have been in, potentially our DNA has changed. We go up and down. Football's so long and changed so much. I think the game now is, firstly, it's about winning. Then it's about winning with the greatest football possible. Then it's scoring lots of goals and conceding very few. And if you can do all of those, I think that's more important than anything. So I think that's such a key part. I think it's about the the commitment and the results now, which is your most important.
Yeah, that's true. Right, I think we'll end it there because we're only supposed to go for 40 minutes, so this was only a short show this morning. Ribsy's just come into the chat. Good morning, Ribsy. Don't know why I'm doing that because nobody can see me putting my thumbs up, so that was just pointless. John Fitzpatrick, Gamorga, Derek Hutchinson. Thank you all so much. All the rest of the people in the chat in the Tottenham Tantrum army. Thank you all so much. David Harris as well, the Irish Hotspur earlier. Big up, David. Please, everyone, get over to his channel and get them up to 5K.
Oh, there is one very quick thing, Dermot.
Yeah, go ahead.
One comment from Gaguma here.
Yeah.
I read in a sports article that Conte wants Harry Kane to get his body fat levels down similar to that of Emerson.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's true, but that would be amazing. I think he would get faster. This actually ties into something I was talking about on David Harris's channel, on Irish Hotspur. And I think Kane is suffering from not being fit enough this season. When he was at his peak, he was a greyhound. He was running his socks off everywhere, not a shred of fat on him. And if this is true, and he would get faster, and we might see the old Harry Kane back quicker than any of the expectations.
Phil?
Yeah, likewise, I would second that. Harry Kane, as much as he's looked off in his performance, I think when we talk about his demeanour and how he's been, he's just not fit enough this season. And that there's more to it than just he doesn't care or anything. The guy's played football consistently for 15 months pretty much. So, it's going to take his toll. He's led the line at Tottenham for 5-6 years all by himself. So he's created a tough ask for himself. But if he got a little bit leaner and a little bit fitter, which is coming, you can see he's definitely got more coming through. But, I think it would help him, and it would just help to, continue his rise back to the Harry Kane that we all know and worship, because we do.
Very quickly, score predictions for tomorrow at Coover.
I'm gonna get 5-0 Spurs. Come on, let's have it. I think we're just due something. It's happening.
Phil?
3-0. I think likewise. I think a big monumental performance is coming, and I don't care who it's against or when it comes, as long as it comes, because this is Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. Big up to Derek Hutchinson. He's in every stream, and when we will put the link in every morning for me and Cooper to do our coffee with me, Cooper, and Ben. So Derek, if you're around, you want to pop on one morning, we'd be delighted to have you on. Everyone loves your 5-0, by the way, Cooper. Everyone's up for that. So,
what's your prediction, Dan?
Well, I'm actually going to go for 6-0.
Right, 7-0 then.
I'll raise you by 1.
No, I actually do. I think tomorrow it'd be 5 or 6-0, because I think they're just gonna. Norwich ain't the best team in the world. Let's to be fair.
My only small concern with Norwich is they're on a little bit of an unbeaten run, and Dean Smith has made them a little bit tighter. But I think once you score, that's when the gates open. If it's suddenly,
I love that from Ribsley. That is brilliant.
If they hold on and we get to half time and it's still 0-0, it kind of changed it. But again, I have complete faith now. Looking at that performance the other day, I struggled to pick a man of the match because it was a great team performance, which is the most important, and that's why I don't think he'll change sort of too much.
If Harry Kane gets a hat trick tomorrow, right, I will get the Tottenham Tantrum logo tattooed on me some point early next year. So there you go. If he gets a hat trick, so I'm safe to say he might get one, but I will do that. A few score predictions coming up. You can get them up for us, guys. From John Fitzpatrick onwards, just to get before we get off, so I can get the people score. He's gone for 3-1.
West Ham penalty.
Gamoga. How do you pronounce that?
Goguma. I'm assuming it's Goguma.
Yeah, she's gone with you, Phil.
Good on you, Goguma.
And then Derek Hutchinson's gone for 3-1. We've got a 6-0.
No, I think Goguma's responding to the prediction.
Yeah, I think so. I don't care. I'm going for 6-0 anyway. Ribsy's put if we get a clean sheet again and get a couple of goals, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Chris has gone for 3-1. And then he says the last comment of the show, he says, bloody hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally just got a penalty from an appalling back pass from Chelsea. But do you know what? If it finished 1-1, would any of us be unhappy with that? Not in the slightest.
So it's all about the sendings off and the injuries and the
I love invasions
as well. And point deductions. Yeah,
I love Cuba as well. It's a
anything bad that can happen, let it happen over that game.
Yeah. Right, Cuba. Where can people find you, sir?
Here, obviously, trying to keep the channel appearing more in the mornings and the evenings when we can. Obviously, I'll be over at David Harris's channel, the Irish Hotspur, who is our mothership, as we keep saying. It's the one where we're all inspired by David and his enthusiasm. We just tried to come over and do something different here, didn't we? Otherwise, I'm dotted around lots of the channels. We are Tottenham TV. I've been on a few times lately with the call-ins. The two Brian's channel, Tottenham on Tour, appeared on there with Dermot the other night. I think Phil, were you on there?
I did the Tuesday before, so yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So we've had Tottenham Tantrum Gold up there on the Brian's channel. That was good. There's lots of others dotted around. I mean, I'd like to say try and give a bit of support to the smaller channels, because they absolutely need people's likes and subscribes. It keeps us all going, gives us hope, and inspires us to keep providing content for people. But big up everyone who's tuned in for today's show as well, because it's lovely just seeing the numbers. It might seem a modest number at times, but it keeps us going.
It means a lot to us. It means
does.
everything to them. Phil, where can people find you, sir? Plug yourself to death.
Well, find me on Tottenham.
You never know, Adele could be watching.
Well, that's ever hopeful. That's where I'd like to find myself, in Beverly Hills with the great Adele. But just for that references, I'm trying so hard messaging her each day to see if we can try and get.
Look, I'm not here to plug Adele. Just plug yourself.
Famous Tottenham fans. But yeah, you'll find me on here, and you'll also find me on the Four Hotspurs. You know, and we haven't done anything this week because of unfortunate circumstances with Josh, but hope everything's all right with you, sir. And yeah, that's us.
And yeah, and you can also find us on. We've got a Twitter page called Tottenham Tantrum. We're on there where we just upload newses and stuff like that. We've got content all the way up to Christmas and during Christmas, but after Christmas, we have a couple of things in the pipeline that was gonna blow your minds. It'll be like launching to the Mars and back again. So they're in the pipeline. They're being worked on. We'll be back on Monday at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, with the morning show with me and Coover and I think Ben Kaufman from his coffee shop. And then we're back on Monday evening at 5:30 with a classic game. It's either going to be the 1971 or 73 League Cup final or the 93-94 with Klinsmann. But I think we're more looking at the 71-73 League Cup final. So we're not sure. But let us know in the comments, or let us know. I will put a poll up on Twitter which game then 2 games you want to watch. But thank you for everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for everyone who's put in chats. Please like and subscribe and everything else. So enjoy your weekend. We'll see you Monday morning, and come on, you Spurs.
Oh, hang on, Dermot, very quickly. Oh, sorry, I'll be there in a second. I've just linked the fundraiser for Bob from Bob Spur TV.
Yeah,
he's trying to. He's had some family tragedies recently, and latest one was his poor father passing away, and he's trying to raise funds to pay for his funeral costs, because it's taken its toll. And if we can get that up in comments, if not, we'll leave it at the bottom of this. I'll
put it in the about link on the main YouTube channel. That will be up to date.
There you go. I've just put it in the comments now, but obviously we will post it later as well for you guys.
Yeah. So please, everyone, get over and help Bob. And Bob, if you are watching, again, we send our condolences. And if you need anything, you know where we are. We're all here for you, man. So we're all praying for you.
And also, Josh, the Tottenham guy, on his channel, he's doing a fundraiser for Cosmic, the charity that helped him through tough times recently.
And we'll get the link for that as well, and we'll put that in the About channel. So if you like and subscribe, my Twitter page is in there. Phil's Twitter page is in there. We will put Coover's Twitter page in there. If you want to donate to the channel, because we're doing the Glenn Hoddle. We're doing the Glenn 2-1 to who?
Chelsea.
Okay. We're doing the Glenn Hoddle Fund. Get him on. So if you did, the links for that's in there as well. So everything's on the YouTube channel. But please get over and support Bob Spur and support Josh's channel. They're more important. Let's show them.
I don't think we'll manage Glenn Hoddle. I think his commitments might not allow it. But we've got other people in the pipeline with a bit of
and I'm buzzing this morning. I mean, I feel like Tigger out of Winnie the Pooh. I'm bouncing around. I'm this happy, but I can't tell you just yet. But you will be blown. So, ladies and gentlemen, come on, the Spurs. Levy out. Tottenham 6-0 tomorrow.
Come on, you Spurs.
When the Spurs go marching in, oh, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be in.